Hello, in this demonstration, I'm going to take another crack at Matisse cutouts, but I'm going to keep it abstract and I want more of a sense of whimsy and spontaneity. I'm going to be using really fun colors of fluorescent magenta, a Provence Blue, cadmium yellow, and a transparent Anise Green, and I'll probably pull in some black and white patterning. So I'm going to work on canvas paper, and I'm going to use non-traditional tools, the printmaking brayer, the silicone paintbrush, maybe the angled palette knife. If you don't have some of these things, that's okay. So first, I'm going to cut out some shapes, and I ran out of file folders, so I'm going to just use this nice thick piece of, I think it's drawing paper. Okay, so I'm going to use this paper to mask off certain areas. I'm going to begin with the pink. I'm rolling back and forth with my brayer to get a relatively even coat. And it will not roll on evenly, but I'm okay with that. I actually want that. And because it's canvas paper, it will be a little bit more textured. If I want a little more definition, I can take a brush. This one's a little bit damp, and I can mush the paint around on that edge to even it out. Okay, there's that shape. Then I'm going to do, I want to leave a white space in here. I'm going to do a little bit with curves. I really don't have an overall plan. My focus today is to respond more spontaneously. And I'm holding this piece of paper down firmly so it does not slide. You could tape it, but doesn't feel necessary here. And I'm going to hit that with my damp brush. Okay, now maybe some smaller shapes. Again, no overall plan. I'm just responding to what appears. Now I'm going to bring in this Provence Blue. And I'm blocking this off because I want a sharp shape right there. If that's confusing, you could hand paint it in. Okay, another way of painting is the silicone paintbrush. I can get right up to that edge without using my stencil. Okay, let's see. I'm going to do a little bit of overlap here so you can see how the pink and the Provence Blue interact, overlapping. All right, so I've got a good structure going. Now I want to add some finer details with black and white paint. There's a couple of ways of doing this. I'm going to use these Sennelier acrylic, I don't know what you call them. They're kind of scribbly. Now, some people, if you've got arthritis, they're a little bit hard to squeeze. So I'm going to demo this, and then I'll show you just painting directly how you can do this. So I'm going to employ Andy Warhol's blot printing technique. You'll see in a minute. So we've got the big picture. I want something with finer lines on there for contrast. Okay, now I'm going to I could take a piece of deli paper and blot it, but I'm going to use some of my stencils because it'll pick up those blots, and I may end up using, so on here, that's pretty nifty. I might use it as collage material in the piece. So when I blot, the ink smooshes out just a little bit. And then I have enough on here, I can actually come and stamp it in another area if I want. Okay, let's say that is too much to squeeze. I could paint my dots on, or my lines, with a fine brush. So I'm going to do just that with some carbon black paint. So this will need to be thick enough, I'm not sure if it is, that when I smoosh it with the deli paper, it's going to smoosh out. I'm not sure if it's going to. Best to put it on thick, like impasto, using that 45-degree angle. Okay, I'm going to put my deli paper on top and cross my fingers that it's going to blot out. It's going to smoosh out. Okay, so I get a different line quality, and then I can repeat it. Again, usually there's enough paint on here. Okay, now I'm going to use my white Sennelier scribble marker. So it smooshes it out, then I can bring it over here, stamp off to the side. I can even rotate it sideways if I want to. Okay, now over this area, I'm going to do, excuse me, a transparency with this Anise Green paint. I'm just going to smoosh it right on there because I can take my silicone paintbrush and scrape very close up to those edges and get a transparency. I like overlapping a little bit because then there's a color interaction. I'm going to try it also with my angled palette knife. In case you didn't have a silicone paintbrush, you could do the same thing. With an angled palette knife. Okay, now is probably time to add third color, or I could take this actual, this is kind of groovy. This is my stencil. And I don't have glue right now. I'm just using the paint to adhere it. But now I'm going to bring it back in. And then I'm going to bring in, set my fourth color, which is the cadmium orange. Again, the silicone paintbrush is nice because it's flexible, but I can scrape and get a transparency going on. Or I can put paint on really thick so I'm not seeing what's going on down below. So I can play with that. I can use the tip to do some sgraffito. And there's so much more I could do. Like I'm looking at this going, I'd probably put in maybe a darker blue in here somewhere. Let me do some more blotting with just the black. So let me repeat that again. So I'm putting thicker blobs. Q-tips are good. Okay, well, there's so much more I could do. I got in the flow there, but I think you get the basic idea and the techniques. So I'll end there and you can go forth and Matisse cut out away, roll away.